Is it as you expected? Yes, and that is why this place is empty. You are correct. Time is something that neither of us has, but for now, we must speak. Your actions have crippled the Order, perhaps destroyed them. No. Perhaps it is difficult to say. For every Jedi slain, for every Sith slain, another rises. But the Order is wounded, yes. Oh, yes. Your hate has destroyed them. You should be proud of the blood you have spilled, the lives you have ended. But before enjoying this victory, there is something we must discuss first. The destruction of the Order, the Masters. It was not an end in itself. I did not expect them to still live. Their presence was knowledge I did not possess. But now this has been corrected, and now the sides of this conflict are as I had thought them to be. There are no more unknowns. And what you have done, it is not enough, although I did not expect them to still live. I had hoped you would learn something from the Jedi Masters as they fell before you, not just of battle, but of yourself and the Force. I must know if killing them, if revenge brought you any measure of satisfaction, if seeing them dead has settled the disquiet within you. Did I wish to see them dead? No. Defeated, perhaps. I merely wished them to see that they and their teachings were wrong, that one could not truly understand the Force simply by adhering to the Jedi Code. All I have ever trained have been failures to them. Students who went to fight the Mandalorians, who fell to the dark side, who abandoned their training. To see one that had the strength to best them, that is a moment I will not forget. Yet it has not been as satisfying as I had hoped. To best one in battle is one thing. To defeat them without striking a blow, that was my hope. Regardless, it had to be done. To have such powerful Jedi still live, still be felt in the Force, even on such worlds as they had chosen, was a threat that had to be ended. That is not important. First, let us return to my question. If, by killing these Jedi, if you achieved any measure of peace. It is important to me, and I wish an answer, not more questions from you. It is important to me. It was as I thought. You have failed me, completely and utterly. I have taught you to hear the Force again, shown you the contrast, and yet still you do not understand. This is what you have wrought. Countless murderers, slayers, assassins, born of war that has, as always, taught the wrong lesson. You showed them life without the Force, and instead of showing them truth, power, all you showed them was how the galaxy may die. You are responsible for all of this. Even now, events spiral towards destruction, and there is nothing that can be done because you refuse to listen, to understand. You have seen the effects you have on those close to you, heard the echoes scream across dead planets, and watched as your strength has grown. Yet it is for nothing. To have the Jedi Masters brought low by such a failure, there is no victory in that. You have not heard a thing I have taught, and for all I have said, you have never learned to listen. Vrook was right to come here, though he did not recognize the connection until too late. This place will hide you from the Sith for a time, enough to do what must be done. You were my last hope, the only one who could change what is to come, and now you have left me nothing. I shall teach you no longer. Our bond remains, but that is all. Stay here and die, apprentice, among the wreckage of all that remains of the Jedi. It is a fitting grave until the Sith come to end you, to end everything. And as you lie here, I pray you will listen and finally awaken. Vrook was right to come here, though he did not recognize the connection until too late. All life is connected by the Force. You have felt it in your companions, your choices affecting theirs, their actions mirroring yours. Imagine such incidents spreading outwards. From the smallest of actions, the smallest of cruelties and kindnesses, great tragedies are made. You have felt it in your companions, your choices affecting theirs, their actions mirroring yours. Imagine such incidents spreading outwards. From the smallest of actions, the smallest of cruelties and kindnesses, great tragedies are made. The wounds inside people, the wounds suffered by planets, both cause echoes heard and felt through the force. And these echoes build, and all that can hear them shall become deafened or die. Choose the right moment. Create the right echo, and then all shall be destroyed. And there are those that feed on such deaths, and when no life is left, they shall consume themselves. You have taught them to bond with others, and then feed on others through that bond. What you have brought is the death of all who can feel the force. It is your gift to the galaxy, exile. And unless you hear it and silence the echo you have caused, then every living thing everywhere that is touched by the force will die. Listen, awaken, or die. I can teach you no longer. The bond between our lives remain, but that is all. It is my last lesson to you. I can teach you no longer. I have cut my bond to you. I have no need of it any longer. You were my last hope, the only one who could avert the disaster that comes, and now you have left me nothing. There. Do you feel that, exile? It cuts through your defenses, as unprepared for such an attack as you are. Let that pain be a lesson and a reminder of what you have forgotten. Pain travels both ways along connections in the force. It casts echoes always, and one can learn to draw strength from such connections and take it from others. It is a lesson you know well, and you have taught to others. At the end of the Mandalorian Wars, let us return to my question. If by killing these Jedi, if you achieved any measure of peace to the Sith? No, not to the Sith. Perhaps not in the way you would think, but their presence in the Force held dangers. They may have been used to sustain the one that threatens us, because it matters to me, in a way that never mattered to the Jedi, to the Council when they cast you out. You must understand, I did not wish the Jedi dead. Defeated, perhaps. That is your wish, not mine. There is strength in defeating an enemy, not slaying them. But you have corrected that, and now the sides of this conflict are as I had thought them to be. There are no more unknowns. Because there is something we must discuss. Oh no, there is a purpose in such things. That is what we are here to discuss. Yes, and that is I, though I am not of them any longer. I had thought you were the last of the Jedi, as did the Sith, but there are more of them than you know. Is it as you expected? This is all that is left. An empty chamber and an echo of what once was. But this moment is all that really matters. It was never my wish that you find the Masters, only find yourself. I have done what I can to keep you from the Jedi and the Sith, but a critical moment approaches, and what you have done is not enough. Master Vrook, despite his faults, was right to come here. I had thought he might have recognized Dantooine for what it was, what had been done there. You are tied to places such as these, you know. Yes, but Master Vrook was unwilling to see what other masters may have seen, that the echo of Dantooine he felt was inside you as well. They admitted it as much in the council chamber after your trial, though they did not understand what it meant at first. They assumed it was a threat that they felt. From one perspective, they were correct. As much as you can form connections to others, such connections exist on a galactic scale as well. That echo he described is not solely tied to Dantooine. Other planets that have suffered such destruction cast echoes as well. Yes, Telos is another such world, one of many in an increasingly long chain. Ah, and now the question. Do you believe it? You commit to nothing? Very well. Only when you accept the two are tied, you to these dead planets, can the lesson begin. But if you will not believe me, perhaps you will at least listen. Let us start with the most basic principle of the Force. It connects all life. It is possible to hurt or sever those connections, to create places in the Force where it is difficult to center oneself, but that is the crudest form of manipulation. It is possible to affect those connections in other ways, by the slightest action. A seemingly minor choice, a small cruelty, always just enough to create an echo of just the right distance and effect to change the behavior of another. Such minor acts can eventually change the behavior of another, to influence them. Those who travel with you, for example. Surely you have noticed it in your companions. Your actions influence theirs. It may seem a minor thing, but it is not. It is the power upon which empires can be made. Even the smallest of acts, the smallest of echoes can have profound repercussions. The talent comes in recognizing them and knowing how to manipulate them. This is why the smallest of cruelties, the smallest of kindness, may seem insignificant, but they are not. They can build upon each other, and if timed correctly, can grow. But there are other perspectives to this technique. The stronger your connection to life, to the Force, the stronger these echoes can be made, and the stronger they are felt. When heard, Force sensitives instinctively seek out the source, are drawn to it to try and form a connection. And when the connection is formed, both become stronger, and the influence between them grows. Your companions, many are touched by the Force on some level, and in many ways they serve out of compulsion and because your connection influences them strongly. It was much like it was for you in the Mandalorian Wars, with many Jedi under your command. But this connection has other consequences. When the source is wounded, the one on which others draw strength, then they are wounded as well. What one feels, the other feels. And when others die, the scream travels back to the source. If they occur at the same time, or at the right time, these screams will build upon each other until it is the only sound you can hear, and the deaths of many will cause the screams to build until their pain becomes yours, and you die as well. And that is why during the Mandalorian Wars, you lost your connection to the Force. It was that final battle, the deaths of so many Jedi, that caused you to lose your connection. It caused the wound that you feel now. It caused pain in the Force, an emptiness, a wound that has yet to heal. You were wasted among the Jedi, yes, you are correct. But let us take things one at a time. Let us move our perspective outwards. This pain I describe, the echo of these acts, is true of planets as well. Tremendous loss of life on a planetary scale can also cast echoes, create a scream, a wound in the Force that can travel across the galaxy. It can be felt by Force sensitives, and it can influence them whether they realize it or not. If enough of these echoes are allowed to build in the Force uncontrolled, the consequences could be disastrous. The connections of all life would be affected. As I have said, screams and their echoes can overlap, build in strength, and if timed correctly they will build on each other, the scream will grow, and anything that can hear this scream shall be deafened or killed with difficulty. And controlling it, well, I do not believe such a thing is possible once it has begun. But in order for this to work, all of them must be timed correctly, must be carefully orchestrated and controlled, from the greatest to the smallest of echoes, even the ones that come from a lone exile echoing across the galaxy. And when that exile forms connections to others as you do, the danger becomes apparent, the echo continues to grow, to travel. Yes, he is correct. You form such bonds easily. The why of it is not important now. All that is important is that you understand that your actions affect others strongly. Anyone can do such things, since life is connected by the Force. Sometimes the connections are faint, but in your case, they are very strong. You instinctively know how to manipulate such connections, to influence others. You have seen it mirrored in those who travel with you. When you act, you cast echoes. Your intent is mirrored in others. Your bond, in many ways, is predatory, an expression of dominance. It is your right. But when you are wounded, all those you are connected to are wounded. You give others strength to act, but it is also possible to draw upon the strength of others to increase your own. It is similar to drawing upon the Force as Jedi do, but when it is touched by the power of the dark side, it is something else, something deadly. These Sith we face, they have learned how to do this. It is a technique that has been lost for some time, not seen in the days since the ancient Sith. They can use it to consume other Force sensitives, and at the highest pinnacle of power, use it to consume anything that lives. They draw upon the connections in the Force and devour it. That is why they are drawn to Jedi, why it is easy for them to find where they gather, because it is like the smell of blood to them, and they can draw upon the Jedi's own strength to kill them. No, for the pinnacle of this teaching is self-destructive, for its hunger keeps building and building until it has devoured everything, including the student. The blind seer, her master has harnessed this technique, and he is rapidly approaching the height of its power. I fear he may even rival some of the ancient Sith. He is already more of a force than a living thing, a hole in the Force that threatens to draw everything into it, and the teaching must die with him, or else all life will be placed in jeopardy. Yes, because when a Jedi is deprived of the Force, he is only a thing of flesh and blood and easily slain. When you accept this, you must accept that this can occur on a larger scale. Yes, he is correct. You form such bonds easily, I am not certain why. All that is important is that you understand that your actions affect others strongly. If you see only blame in my words, then you have misunderstood me. Now you sound like a Jedi, disbelieving, scoffing. Yet you have seen the evidence of this all around you. Yes, in that he was correct, but like Vrook himself, that is incomplete in itself, and it only achieves meaning when part of a larger whole. But it does not end there. If it did, then perhaps the threat that we face would be more manageable. Yes, you are correct, because I need to see if I have wasted my time with you. Answer me. Very well. When you accept the two are tied, then the final lessons can begin. Kavar was wasted as a soldier. He was correct. Yes, Telos is another such world, one of many in an increasingly long chain. Yes, you have listened well in our journeys. Not all the Jedi Masters could see such connections as deeply as they should. Master Vrook was unwilling to admit that the echo of Dantooine he felt was inside you as well. The record of your trial hints at such things. It tells of ignorance. Your entire journey has brought you to this place. But for every step you have taken, the destination may have been hard to see. But there is much we must discuss concerning you and your allies. Our journey has taught me much, and so here lies all that remain of the Jedi. It is a powerful thing you have achieved here. You have brought death again to Dantooine.